All right, boys and girls, it is almost time for the draft. So close to the draft. It's inching closer and closer as the days keep on trugging along. Wow. And you know what? That means it's time for some draft videos. Mock drafts. And what do we need to get within our first 4 picks? Well, today we'll be discussing our needs. Mock draft will be later. However, we must know and remember that we are in a win-now scenario here in the Steel City. We need to get a ring for the captain before he retires. And this is probably his last year, for he is old. He's not in his prime anymore, but he is still the captain. He needs his ring. So, what youngins are we going to get to help us with that? Well, let's see what we need first. Then we'll discuss players later. And I want to sound like a Cowboys fan, but let's go all in this time, right? We have a championship to win. Stairway to 7, boys. Hello, Steelers Nation. Welcome to the episode of Steelcast, a podcast where you don't have to be a Steelers fan. But it sure does help. I'm your host, Zach. Steelers gonna get Super Bowl. Attack! And today, we're gonna be going over the Steelers' top 5 needs. Even though it's really 4. But anyways, top 5 needs going into the NFL draft in literally just a few weeks. And by the way, the first 2 days, day 1 and day 2, we will be streaming here on the channel, so make sure you tune in for that. But first, we need to discuss something. And that is the Steelers. You literally yesterday signed Michael Pruitt, tight end of the Atlanta Falcons. Do I know why? No. But it is a tight end signing, probably tight end depth, maybe run blocking depth, probably, because we all know how Arthur Smith likes his run blocking. And Michael Pruitt has been on both the Titans and Falcons during the Arthur Smith eras. So he knows the system very well. So the people who thought that we were going to draft at least one tight end in the draft, we're not drafting tight end in this draft. But we do have some picks that we can work with. So let's go on ahead and start with number 5, which is a bit more, which is, you could debate number 5. Like, you could put edge here. You could put inside linebacker here. But I'm going to go with defensive line. And here's why defensive line is number 5. The Steelers' defensive line, while very, very good, is getting very, very old. So, what do we do to fix that problem? We get younger depth that the old folks can train. I know we did sign Dean Lowry in free agency, but Mike Tomlin always likes to get a defensive lineman somewhere in his draft. Whether they stick around or not is the question, but he does like his defensive lineman. So expect maybe a day 3, like round 5 defensive lineman selection. Is all I'm gonna say. Is it a big glaring hole? No. Are the next 4 big glaring holes that we should address with the first 4 picks? Yes. Which is why that defensive line is definitely not on anyone's radar in the first 2 rounds. So, but let's go on ahead and see let's go ahead and take a look at what our 4 picks in the first 3 rounds should be. Starting off with number 4, and I'm going to go with wide receiver. And now you might be wondering, why are you putting wide receiver as number 4? Don't we need it badly? Yeah, we do. We also need the other 3 just as badly. Sure, Quez Watkins is definitely not wide receiver 1. Actually, it's probably more like wide receiver 3. However, you gotta remember that the Steelers still have Tyler Boyd on their radar and could potentially make a trade for a big name wide receiver at some point. Are they going to make a big name trade? No. I'm assuming that Tyler Boyd will eventually buckle down and take the $5 million that the Steelers offered him rather than the 8 or the 9 he's looking for. However, there's even when the draft comes and goes, the free agency market will still be up and running. Like, I'm not worried about wide receiver as much. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to take it with our first 3rd round pick. That's my prediction. Because the other needs are just as more important. And speaking of, we got number 3. That's going to be corner, defensive back. And here's the reason for that. I'm wondering, well, where are we taking corner? And I would say the second of our 3rd round picks, which would make wide receiver number 3 and quarterback number 4, right? Well, no. Because we still have wide receiver options in free agency. We don't really have any corner options in free agency. As a matter of fact, I'm going to predict it right now. We're going to double on corner at some point in the draft. We're going to get 2 corners. One in the 3rd, probably some Jerry and Jones, and then some 6th round person. That's my take anyway. And we still have Corey Trice Jr. on the team. I get that. But he didn't play at all his rookie campaign because of injury. So we don't really know what we have in him yet. So we need someone to play on the other side of JPJ. We get a Jerry and Jones. End of story. Because our next 2 picks, if we don't pick this with the first 2 picks, we're screwed. Number 2, offensive tackle. And this is the one that a lot of people are expecting us to take in the first round because the con artist, Omar Khan, likes to go with the protection picks in the first round. Take a look at Broderick Jones' last draft. This is going to be a really crazy offensive tackle class because there are a lot of good tackles. But they're going to fly off the board relatively quickly. So it would be a good opportunity to get one in the first round. The most likely candidate is Amarius Mims because he was Broderick's teammate and he can play on the other side of Broderick Jones. But we'll see what happens we'll see who falls at 20. But whoever falls at 20 is who we're taking at tackle, I guarantee you. Because we don't really have anyone to play left tackle. I mean, we could move Broderick over and draft the right tackle. Because regardless, Gaymore Jr. is not our answer at left tackle. He is not the franchise guy. He's a good depth piece. I'll take that. But he is not a bona fide starter. So Big yikes. Very big yikes. I will say, though, that even if we get our number 1 need at 20th overall, I wouldn't be too upset as long as like Blake Fisher is available at number 51, which he should be, but regardless. Because our number 1 need that there's like no options for in free agency, like at all, except for maybe Connor Williams, who has injury history and is probably not going to get signed by anyone anytime soon, is center. We don't have Mason Cole anymore. We let him go literally before free agency started. I don't even know where he's going to end up if anyone does decide to sign him. So yeah. Big yikes that we don't have a center. But we can fix that in the draft because the top 5 centers are all bona fide starters, and most of them are, except for maybe Jackson Powers Johnson, are going to make it to the second round. And they're all going to be, except for Jackson Powers Johnson, at 51. I guarantee it. So I feel pretty good that we can still get our bona fide center at round 2, which is why I'm all for taking tackle round 1. But it's what the Steelers decide they want to do. As for the other 6th-round pick that we have, because I talked about what I think the Steelers are going to pick at all the other positions. And all the other picks, I said tackle, I said center, then I said receiver, then I said corner, then I said defensive line, and I said corner. The other 6th-round pick, I can see it being a receiver, especially if we don't think we're going to get Tyler Boyd. But I don't think it's going to be a receiver. I think it's probably going to be like edge depth or something like that, which honestly would make the most sense because we don't have a whole lot of really good edge depth either. So that's my prediction. But we'll talk about more of that in the mock draft video. As for now, that's all I have. Top 5 needs: defensive line, receiver, corner, tackle, and center. Honestly, we could get all really good positions from those in the draft. We could be straight for like years to come. Like what more do you want me to say? Like we could literally go to the Super Bowl this season. Obviously, that's a huge jump from last season. But have you seen our QB room? Have you seen our running game? All we need is a bona fide offensive line to help block. And Broderick's a pretty good blocker. I'll do see so myself. So we need some blockers. We also have a lot of run blocking receivers now. We don't have to worry about small hands Kenny missing folks that are wide open in the middle of the field. Small hands. But he's looking up this season. Like really looking up this season. I'm so hyped. I'm ready. I know you are too, Steeler Nation. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who do you have the Steelers taken? What do you think the top 5 needs are? Let me know. I am your host. My name is Zach Attack. And as always, you're in Steelers country.